How's it going, guys? In this video, we're gonna be ranking the leaders. We're gonna be doing a little tier list, talking about the best of the best, and we're gonna give our experience there. When I say our, I'm talking about me and my boy Skinny Boston, who's also been playing the game really well. We pushed really far in this short time we played, so I wanted to get another perspective because, like many mobile games, resources are limited, so you can't really hit every single mini. So it's important to have other voices to tell you their experience and stuff. So we're gonna get into that. We're mostly thinking about PVE when we do this tier list because that is how the game is gonna start. PvP is gonna get very specific down the road, and we're gonna have some great teams for you to play around with then. But for right now, let's get to this leader tier list. Let's go. All right, so here we are at our tier list. We're starting blank, and we're actually going to start with the leaders. We'll have a little bit back and forth on each character, but not too much, just so that the video is not like 4 hours long.
Only 5. We're gonna go 5 hours
5 hours,
instead.
exactly. And just again to reiterate, we are keeping mostly a PVE mindset here while we're going through this, because that's where the game starts, as we talked about in the thumbnail. All right, let's start off. Tirion. Look, for me, I found Tirion late because I did the entire campaign with Jaina. Once I found Tirion, I was able to push way further in the heroic campaigns, and he's kind of my main PvP tune. So even though keeping PvE in mind, he kind of stands out for me. How you feeling on Tirion?
I 10 out of 10 agree with you, Dorky. I think Tyrion is S tier.
Yeah.
Just the absolute fact that he has the heals, and then my favorite thing is you can get the buy the light on him, so then it heals more as well. Like that's just it's beautiful, man. The heal is fat. I've seen him heal himself up after taking out a
Yep.
tower by himself, and I mean something like that, a single pusher is just it's unbelievable.
Yeah, one of two, well, I guess one of three if you count Holy Nova. AoE heals. Like if you get an army behind this guy and they don't have like a blizzard to lock you down, or if you don't have range protection and they drop range on you, if neither of that happens, him and his army will march through anything. And when you're talking PvE, it's easy to set up those scenarios for yourself.
100%. Yeah, he's a great character to roll with.
Yeah. And if you get hit, if you get the option to pick him first, pick him first. I picked Jaina first. Regret. Let's just put it that way. All right, Maiev Shadowsong. How we feel about Maiev?
Oh, Maya's it's unbound units, so unbound units are strong in the campaign, so it's nice. So I don't think it's terrible. I don't think he's garbage. I don't think he's one you want to start with though.
Yeah.
Like he's someone you bring in later, and he's very much a good plug and play, kind of like, oh, this is a really hard campaign. Let me go through and see if I can use him in certain scenarios to do big things for me. How about yourself?
Yeah, so with the Unbound, recently got a little nerf in PvP, but they still have immense value in PvE. Where I say she comes up short is she does cost 6. She drops
Well,
1 cost every time you summon an Unbound, but in the later PvE stages, if you are spamming Unbound in your deck, like you have two, if you have more than 2, you quickly just get out muscled almost. So
100%.
yeah, I think she drops off. I'm actually
Yeah.
she's fun, but I don't think she's
Hmm.
like the best leader by any stretch of the imagination. And
No,
if I'm
I
comparing her
agree.
against Tyrion, man, I think she's B or C at best.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm thinking C tier just because there's a very few niche spots where she shines at, and you're like, yeah, that's a great one. But yeah, like you said, it's not going to be my everyday go-to for the Alliance if I'm
Yeah.
looking at pushing.
Speaking of for the Alliance, Jaina. Um,
Yes.
she was my opener. I really struggled with her at first, but once I ramped up, once I got to the later campaigns, and I had this blizzard. Once I got through her dungeon, and now my blizzard is like level 22. It levels entire armies. It can be fun. She's low cost. She costs 3. The downside is, as a mini herself, super squishy. I
Yeah.
don't like stacking spells. The same thing when you stack Unbound. When you stack spells, I feel like you start losing out. And
Right.
she's single target ranged. So,
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, with a stack, you're putting 2, maybe 3 spells max, Ideally
yeah.
you're looking, and so that does limit her potential, and but it is nice, like you said, when that blizzard rolls through and it can do work. Again, I think it's a bit of a plug and play kind of value
Mhm.
in that is, similar to what we talked about with Maiev, but I think she ranks a little bit better than Maiev. So I think B is a good spot for her perhaps. I don't know, how do you feel, Dorky, as someone's got a little more experience on her?
I think I do like her better at B. Although she's
Hmm.
as squishy as Maiev, you can kind of prepare to protect her better. Maiev, because she's also in bound, you're almost just like dropping her in to do one attack and immediately die. Whereas Jaina, she can kind of ramp up with some people around her. So I do
Hmm.
think I give her a little bit more value. And that she costs 3. She's one of the cheapest leaders.
Yes, which is really nice.
Yeah. All right, moving on to those beast leaders. We got Hogger, everybody's favorite zone boss. The
Everyone always
meme.
remembers Hoggart, man. That classic original guy, man. You gotta remember him. Throw respect on that name.
Exactly. He's pretty interesting, right? Like every time you summon him, he gets a little bit faster. By
Yep,
the end of a match, all of a sudden he's got the sonic speed. He's got to go real fast.
just blazing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he's hitting harder. To me, it's a toss up. It like we got to kind of rank them also as to which is the best beast leader. We got to keep that in mind because you will need
Exactly.
that for your guild stuff and for the heroic
Hmm.
campaign.
Hmm.
So I kind of like him as the best beast leader, but nowhere near as good as Tirion. But if you were leveling your beast deck, I call them decks. If you're leveling your beast deck for the heroic campaign, I think he's the best. So it kind of puts him at A tier for me.
Yeah, you see, I think this is we're gonna differ a little bit here. I agree. I think A tier's a good spot for him because as he ramps, and that's the thing. Campaigns go on for a while. Some of these, when you're really pushing to the harder campaign levels, so he's really gonna ramp with that, and he's one of the few ones that do that, and he builds stronger as the game goes on longer. And even when you get that more gold, and you're hitting that overtime, and you're just throwing him down in a little cycle deck or something, and
Yeah.
you're just blowing through him. He definitely gets strong in that A tier. But I think the next one we got coming up is my favorite, actually, in the beast deck.
Oh, really? Okay, so where do you think Hogger lays it for you?
I still think Hogwarts an A tier. I really do. I do.
Okay, so talk to me about old Murk-Eye, because I
Yes.
don't have much experience with him, so it's good that you have
Yeah.
some perspective
Yeah,
here.
so I love Old Murk-Eye because of the swarm capability. So every time you summon after he summons for, I believe, was it 5 seconds, I believe? What is it there? Yeah, 5 seconds. Every time you summon for the next 5 seconds, you add to him. You summon your little Murk-Eyes that come out and do the range AoE. So I actually run like a swarm style deck with him. So I'll run Murk-Eye, I'll run Raptors with the Raptor pack on, which I love the Raptors with Raptor pack. We'll get to them later. And then you can run a tank in there as well and something like that, and you can really swarm beautifully. And it's great because it summons the Murk-Eyes on both sides as well, so it handles you to double push a lane, or oh shoot, they got something coming down one side, I want to push up the other side and take advantage of that. It buys you time to get some gold back to handle that other push, so that way your main push is pushing down the lane and doing some work for you. So just in my experience, I've actually done a lot better with Murk-Eyes in the beast-oriented hero campaigns than Hoggard for that reason alone.
Right on. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I've faced him
Hmm.
in PvP, and I have been immediately swarmed once, but I
Hmm.
haven't seen much use out of him. So I'll take your word for
Hmm.
it that the value is there.
Yeah, especially in a PVE aspect, I do think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and when we get to Baron Rivendare, from the swarming word that you used, if it can be similar to that, yeah.
Yes.
All right,
100%.
this next character we kind of talked a little bit about together. We got Charlga Razorflank. This is chaos incarnate. Basically, it just normalizes your hand, and everything costs the same amount of gold. And if you
Yep.
have a 6 cost in your deck, it's going to cost you 6. So, like when I see I have to do a beast arcane surge, is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah,
Chain Surge. Yep.
yeah. When I see that I have to do a beast one, I am sweating the idea that she's in there with a bunch of heavy costed cards, and it's just really bad. I have
Yeah,
used
it's
her.
awful. Hmm.
Yeah, I've used her in some heroic campaigns, just kind of randomly when I was nearing the beginning of it. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so swing or miss.
It's super swing or miss. Like you said, man, those arcane surges. I've had where I had to put a miner down for like 5 or 6 before because all my cards costed that much, and I'm dying. I'm literally my base is getting destroyed. I got nothing going on. Like ideally, I think the gimmick could work, and I think in a PvP aspect, you could maybe get that to work. And it's fun, she holds towers, she holds units from moving, so it's just a strong
Yeah,
character. But they put such a lottery gimmick attached to her. I think it just kills the character for me. It really does. I think she's probably the worst hero in my aspects in this game. If I really had to pick, if I had to pick my least favorite hero to play with, that's it right there.
Me too. I actually do put her in D tier, which she may be
Mm-hmm.
the only leader that I would personally put there, but we'll see.
Yes.
All right, moving on to Blackrock. We got Rend. So Rend has an interesting mechanic where he's actually going to make all the flying heroes that come after him cost 1 less, but he does cost 6, so it takes a bit to get him out on the field. And then you can kind of spam a lot of things. Like you can spam some Harpies, you can spam Drake of your own. The Whelplings can get brought out by that. So lots of interesting stuff can
Gargoyle,
happen.
another good one.
Gargoyle. I also really like his talents. Like when he gets dismounted, he can cast Living Bomb. So if you drop him at your base and you're just getting completely overrun and they immediately kill his dragon form, boom, your Living Bomb just popped off.
Yep. Yep. Also, another good one too is Scale and Steel, and that just makes him super tanky, which is awesome because he does cost that 6. And if you're running that in a deck, a lot of times I cycle back around to him at 6 cost while I still have one up. So I got one pushing and I got another one flying on the way, so I can almost keep that cost up continuously if you're doing things at level with that, which I love.
Yeah, me too. And obviously he's got that flying to start, and then when he dismounts, he
Mm-hmm.
does a nice little charge. He hits really good. His damage on the Drake is good. His damage on the
Phenomenal.
ground is good.
Yep.
He's my preferred Blackrock. How you feeling about that?
I think both the Blackrocks are really strong, man. I really do. I think if I had to choose one, I'm going to pick him as well, just because I like the flying unit aspect of it
Hmm.
a little bit more than our next one coming up. I think they're right there again, neck and neck. As far as Hogger and Murk-Eye, again, I think they're both really good champs.
Right on. And he's our only flying leader,
He is
actually.
the only flying leader, yeah, which I think is big time. Because there are some levels where you need flying.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so if you were starting over right now and you got to choose one of these 3 characters in the A tier, who are you starting off with?
I think I might go Rin. I don't. I might. But again, like because though he's so niche with the flying unit requirement, I think I might go old Murk-Eye for myself. Just because I know you can play that with anything. Again, Hoggard even alone too. It's that cycle it needed. He really works well in a cycle deck. That's gonna be a lower cost deck for you, so you can roll him harder. So I think personally for me, old Murk-Eye is holding that special spot in my heart.
All right, well, I'm good with that because I don't know enough about an old Murk-Eye except that one time I got swarmed. I do really like Rend. Um,
Yeah, I like Rin a lot too.
he's definitely not near S tier, and I don't think he's at the top of A tier either, though. So I'm happy with him
Mm-mm.
there.
Yeah.
All right, we got. I don't even know this guy's name. The
Oh
dragon.
my gosh.
Yeah, what's his
It's
name?
General Drakkisath,
Right,
sir. You need
Drakkisath.
to assert. You need to call him sir for the rest of this video. That it's sir to you.
Yes, sir. All right, perfect. I actually am not a huge fan of this character. I was surprised that you said they're about the same. To me, he's so slow, and
Hmm.
yeah, I just had a hard time with him being single target until you get the talent there, the piercing blows.
Yeah, the piercing. Yeah, that changes him a lot. It makes him a
Yeah,
lot better. With the piercing, but the elemental is big for me on him. Because it's going to lower elemental resistance, I believe, right? Yeah, by 50%. So yeah, nearby enemies take 50% more elemental damage. That on some levels is insane. Because you're going to be, because obviously you stack elemental cards with him and you can just absolutely eat and crush with that, which is interesting as well because you're going to, it's kind of similar to Blackrock, you need flying or you need elemental to make these characters really work. And so, but
I
again,
can see that.
with
Yeah.
that on certain levels, he does really well. I think B tier is a solid place for him. Again, kind of with Jaina, kind of like they're kind of almost a little niche type of characters, where they're not the worst choices in the world, but I don't think there's something I'm jumping for joy at, as far as the PVE aspect.
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
Hmm.
Ooh, one of my favorite characters to play, Sneed. Now, Sneed is great Because once you get if you get an advantage on the enemy and you get gold priority on the nodes and you've collected that gold from the bases, if they recapture the bases, you could time it perfectly so that you are putting a unit down right before the tower becomes theirs, and then you immediately take it back. Or you could just bomb it with some sappers. Instead, you're getting 4 gold or something like that if you have the Sneed as greed, which I know a lot of people don't like that one. I love that talent.
Yeah.
I pushed hard.
I actually like the lead with gold greed as well. I actually think that's the best talent on him as well for definitely for PvE. I don't think there's any question with that. You know, because you said that gold advantage is everything in this game.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm instantly getting that so much more gold advantage because the PvE is the same thing. It's still a gold advantage game type. You know, so you get a gold advantage and you get that swimming. It's like GG's. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing.
Yeah. I pushed super hard with him, but then I also switched to Bloodhoof, and it's pretty even across the board. But I think I edge it out to Sneed myself, because I think he takes the cake in PvP, especially when they start stacking towers.
Exactly, stacking towers, cleave damage as well.
Yeah.
He's also a big unit that's slow, but you can push him, which is a huge advantage as well.
Yep.
You know, so I agree, man. I do think he edges it out in the horde as well.
So I think he's the best horde, but I don't think he's Tirion level. I kind of want to put him at the top of A. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think the top of A is a beautiful spot for him to be. I really do.
All right. Next, we got Mr. Bloodham himself. We got the son of Bane, Cairne. How you feeling about Cairne?
I love Cairne, man. He's the tankiest hero I think on this list as far as that we have right now. He's the tankiest leader.
Yeah.
You can get that ability where if he dies, he revives back, which is just phenomenal. You know, and he's somebody you can build a team behind. You know, puts a shaman back there or a healer back there, you know, put a little damage behind him, and he can really just walk and chomp people, you know. And he's got the AoE damage when he attacks. It does a little rumble stun as well.
Yep.
So you can almost put like a kind of stun deck. You can put a little CC deck together as well with him, and I think he's phenomenal. Like I said, Sneed's Sneed's really great, and I think that speaks to the power of the horde that this guy's coming in second to Sneed, you know, because again, I think he's a phenomenal card and a phenomenal character, and it proves that once again the Horde faction is the best faction in World of Warcraft.
Well, I'll leave that one alone, but I do agree. I think he's right up there with Sneed. Like, I'm comfortable putting him A tier as well, but on the opposite side of Sneed.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, then we got Grommash Hellscream for the Horde. All nearby friendly units gain Bloodlust. On the surface, amazing ability. I do like his talents. He's got one that can make him spin. That's cool. But the mirror image, where he's summoning 2 fragile mirror images, if those images get left alone, they will truck and truck and truck. And then the Savage Strikes is the third one. Deal double damage when enemies below 50. I don't really find the use of that one too much. I started a new account to start giving like better early game advice, do like an early game guide. And I started pairing Grommash with the chickens. And so the chickens there'd be a full chicken battalion of Bloodlust, and they were just ripping things apart. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, I got into these like cycles where I couldn't maintain Grommash and other meaningful units at the same time. It kind of feels like once you have him, you got to be using low-cost other minis, because he costs 4, and if you want somebody stacked on top of him, you can't use the Warsong Raider, which is, in my opinion, my favorite Horde character, because she's a fast unit. She'll outrun him.
Exactly. Super quick, yeah.
Yeah. The Grunts, they cost 5, so it's hard to stack them together. The Shaman actually works, but the Shaman doesn't do much damage with that Bloodlust. So I kind of... There's other units. Obviously, a lot of not Horde units work pretty good with him. Like a lot of the tanky units, I really liked putting the Fire Elemental with him. I thought that was fun. The Noel Brute worked really good with him in the early game.
Yep. Gruul is another one. The Ghoul is another good one. But yeah, I agree. He's kind of... It's really tough because a lot of the best DPS units are going to cost a really tough spot to make a deck work with them. when you're trying to put a deck together. And for the Horde, when you're comparing him to the other two Horde characters, he really falls short of those guys. And you almost have to use him as like a pseudo, because of the bloodlust, like a pseudo buff unit almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's not tanky enough, and he doesn't do enough damage on his own to really carry. And so yeah, so I think for that aspect, he's maybe our second C tier character. I don't know. How are you feeling?
That's exactly where I was gonna go. I was gonna put him in C, but I
Hmm.
was gonna put him ahead of Maiev.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that's the best spot for him.
Right on. All right, and that brings us to our last faction, the Undead, Baron Rivendare. Bro, this guy is a nightmare to face in PvP. In PvE, though, there's some maps like King Mukluk where there is no other tower, there is no summoning stone, so it heavily nerfs his passive. But
Right.
in most maps, you can just have legions of undead skeletons following him. And he himself is a nice fast unit. He's armored, so he's taking hits like a champ. He does do single target damage, but he's got a lot of interesting traits to him too. So he's
Yeah,
got
for sure. Well, I think he's got the gallop, right, where the first unit he hits after he gallops takes extra damage. Is that a thing, or is that just me dreaming it?
I think that may be just you dreaming it. He's got tank, armored, elemental, fast, melee, one target. He summons skeletons at the building. He can summon skeletal mages instead of warriors, so he'll
Oh,
summon
keep
ranged
talking
units.
dirty to me.
I
Mm.
know, isn't it great when you have just 40 ranged units on the field, just taking out anything that dares to go into the sky?
It's amazing, yeah. And I can say the skeleton mages, I went against them one time in a map, and they just eat. They're just constantly showing up, constantly eating, And that's the thing, on a map where lots of things can get summoned from, the summoning stones and the bases, it's just like you said, it's an army. And that's just him naturally summoning those. That's not on top of everything else that you're putting with the guy. On top of him being maybe one of the, I mean, he's in the top 3, 4 of tankiness easily.
Oh,
And that's
easily.
naturally. Yeah, on top, I think he's probably the fastest, other than a Hogger that gets rolling as a base unit as well, which is just huge, man. You put him on a tower, he's gonna eat that tower by himself. I've seen it happen.
Yep.
If you're at level, and yeah, he's, and let's be honest, he's got one of the best profile pictures in the game. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not biased by any means by this is the first character I picked because of the profile picture, and that's what I'm running to the day I die.
He's got a good
No, no,
fit.
no.
He's got a good
That's it.
fit.
Yeah, that's it. The fit is on point. I mean, it's almost like the guy wears into the AM all the time. Like what's underneath that armor?
Yeah, exactly. I'm very comfortable putting him in S tier. And I honestly, I don't know who's better, him or Tyrion in PvP. In PvE, I think they're very, very, very even.
Yeah, I think they're really even as well. And Tyrion might push it just a little bit more for me in PvE, but I agree. He is the default to second S tier for sure.
Yeah. All right, then we got Blood Mage. Listen, it's unfortunate that he's in the same family as Baron Rivendare, because he's an interesting character. Like he's got a lot of the same faults Jaina has. Basically, every time you use a spell, he gains a level. In PvP, gaining a level is crazy. In PvE, it's a little bit watered down, so it's a little bit harder there. The problem with this guy, the problem is the same with Jaina. You got to kind of stack spells. You could use Arcane Torrent and kind of spam it to give him a bunch of levels. But the second you start doing 2, 3, 4 spells, or 2, 3, 4 Arcane Torrents in a row, you really just end up with him alone on the field. And that's not enough.
So I've built an interesting deck with him. I actually use 2 tanks of him, and I actually use the ghoul, 2 cost, who can heal himself, which is arguably one of the best tanks in the game in my opinion. And then I use abomination as the big boy who can yoke people down and can really, because Baron, unlike Jaina, has AoE splash damage
Yes.
on their base attack, which I think is phenomenal. And then actually run 4 spells into that. I run with Blizzard,
Really?
Arcane, Lightning, and then Holy Nova to heal my big boy back up. And I've had where I got an abomination or a ghoul walking down with 2 or 3 barons behind there, and it's a slow push. It's not beautiful, but when they get to that boss, they eat. They absolutely just munch that thing up where he's gained 5, 6 levels. And the good thing about that arcane is if they're on top of the boss, you just all in on it, right?
Yeah.
I'm boom, 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 and hitting levels as fast as I can on the guy. So I've had some success. I've had some good success with him in the PvE levels. I can say just on my personal use. But it took me a while to find that. That's not something that came naturally. It's not something that came easily. It came through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, to be honest. And so I think because of that, I do think he's probably in that, I don't know, that B class maybe for me. I don't know how you feeling.
I'm feeling B tier as well. I think better than Sir. Him and Jaina.
I think it's a toss up.
The AoE on the basic.
And I think that's what clinches it, because they're both 4 cost, and at that point you're like, okay, Jaina's a 3 cost. So Jaina's a 3 cost, so you're paying 1 more gold for AoE splash damage. We know how big that's in PvP because when the computer rarely summons just 1 unit at a time. Usually it's summoned 2 or 3 on top of each other.
Squads.
Exactly, yeah. And there's multiple times you're fighting something that summons other units and stuff. Yeah, so it gets hairy quick there. And I think that splash damage, I think it gives them the nudge. I really, really do. If not, maybe, the love loss we have for each other, maybe that's our tie. Is there a way we could possibly tie them?
Nah, one's got to be the winner. What I'm going to say is Bloodmage Thalnos also has 1.5 additional range on him. So if they ever got caught in a 1v1, he's popping off first. He's got a little bit less damage, but if you summon a bunch of spells, he's going to outlevel the crap out of her, especially in the PvP sense. So if we take it to PvP, I think Bloodmage Thalnos probably gets the nod there and takes over.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that bleeds over into PvE as well.
Yeah, perfect. All right, here, I'll tell you what, I didn't expect this to go that long, so we're at 26 minutes. Let's make this one video. We got the leaders done. I do think that if you see either of these 2 characters, when you're first starting out, you get Tirion or you got Rivendare staring at you as your leader choice, you will not go wrong picking either one. And after that, we kind of work our way down. Let's see, we got Alliance, we got Undead, we got Horde, we got Beast. Are we missing somebody? Who are we missing? Blackrock. Oh, Blackrock Rend.
Right there. Yep.
Yeah. Like if I'm starting fresh, I'm definitely going for at least these 4. I haven't tried old Murk-Eye, but I haven't really tried Hogger. I have tried her, and I can tell you she is not it. I can tell you right away, it ain't her. All right, you're not pushing heroic campaign with her.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you're sad with anything in that S to A tier.
Yeah.
Obviously the S tier is gonna be what you want to shoot for eventually. But yeah, anything in that S to A tier, I think you're gonna have a good time. Even the B tier, you're not shit out of luck if you pull a B tier. Excuse my language. You're not dead in the water if you pull a B tier champ either to start, and that's the joys of this game, because it is so well balanced. I don't know what, if I got a C tier champ, I'm not even crying about it. I'm really only mad if I get 1 champ. Let's be honest. And luckily, it lets you choose 3 when you start. So there you go.
You're not gonna be stuck with her. And if you get stuck with these 3 choices, go Grommash.
Maybe reroll your account.
Yeah, maybe reroll your account. There you go. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming hanging out. We're gonna now go ahead and do the full minis. Maybe we'll break that down by family because we're gonna talk like a bunch of gossipy girls because we have a lot of fun playing Rumble. All right, guys.
We do. It's a great game.
Take care. Thank you so much. Check it out.
Bye.
That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.